Okay, cool. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining me tonight. I have a wonderful story to tell with my good friend, Christina Lawrence, the biowriter. I've been friends with Christina for, like 2 years, probably-ish?
It's been a couple years at least.
I don't know where or when we met. Do you remember?
Yes, I do, actually. We met right after I joined the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, okay.
And I went to a big chamber event, and you were there. And you were so I just remember you being so confident. You walked right up, shook my hand, looked me right in the eye, and you had a firm handshake.
Oh.
Yeah, so I distinctly remember.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you sure it was me? Because
I'm positive.
I don't characterize my handshake as firm, but...
No, I never forget a face.
Okay, cool. Anyway, I love hanging out with you. We have a lot of fun at the mixers, and we've talked about this. You helped me with my bio.
That's right.
And that was an incredible journey. Thank you so much for that. It's beautiful. It's very well done. And today, I kind of get to flip the script. So I get to play interviewer, and you get to be interviewee. And I really wanted to showcase your abilities to the public because I think it's something everybody needs and should have. So we talked about doing this interview. I sent you a list of questions. We're going to go through those tonight, and I'm going to let your personality shine through like the beautiful person that you are. And you look stunning, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. I dressed to impress because I knew I was going to be your first guest, and I figured we'd better make a splash. So
Woo!
Here I am in all my fuchsia glory.
I'm loving it. Okay, all good. Well, let's get started. So you're a small town Alberta girl.
I am.
And I don't mean anything by small.
It's fine.
Sometimes there's some,
I'm part redneck. It's fine.
Oh, there it is. Boom goes the dynamite. Okay, so you grew up in Sexsmith. What was that like?
Man, that was such a great experience for me. So I didn't grow up in town. I grew up outside of town, which is a little bit different, but the community of Sexsmith and small towns in general, people just care about each other. They really have a vested interest in who's in the community and how they can help each other. And that fits perfectly with a personality like mine. I very much want to know who's in my circle and how I can help them, how we can help each other. So it was a really great experience growing up in a small town. I had a very small class, and I knew everybody in the class, and that was really, some people would find that limiting, but I found it really comforting to know who was there and to know what they were about.
Yeah, and it's really nice knowing everybody.
For sure.
I love the vibe, I know the feeling, and being able to help everybody and know everybody at the same time, super lots of fun. So I know there's a Barbie story, and I kind of forget the story, but could you tell me about it again?
Of course. I'll try and be as brief as I can for time. So when I was young, I used to be obsessed with Barbie. Barbie was my idol. And not just because of the way she looked. That was a big part of it, but more of it had to do with her confidence. It was a confident, professional woman, and Barbie had a number of different careers. It wasn't just one thing. Mm-hmm. So that I found really interesting because as a kid, I had multiple ideas of what I wanted to be. I didn't necessarily think writing was going to be my end game. So to have, even though she was a doll, even though she was not a real person, it was great to have somebody that I could look up to and really embrace that multifaceted part of my own personality. And I would spend hours in the aisle at Zellers. I'm dating myself.
Right. Okay.
I'm dating myself because Zellers.
Well, Zellers is coming back.
Oh, okay, great. Everything is cyclical. But anyways, I used to spend hours in the Barbie aisle. My parents would drop me off, and I would just stand there and imagine the worlds I could create for all of these Barbies on the shelves. And I would stand there for hours. Like, it was the best free babysitter my parents could have ever had. Okay. And I wouldn't have gone with anybody because I was too enamored with what was going on around me on the shelves.
Okay. So you love the confidence. You love the
multifaceted aspect of who she is.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy cool. Okay,
Yeah.
and you kind of have the pink Barbie
I got the pink to
suit
prove it.
To match.
That's right.
Well, that's really cool. Okay, cool. So let's move on. You graduated high school and then you went to GPRC.
I did.
Now Northwest Polytechnic.
Yes.
And what did you take there?
So I took pre-journalism, which that consists of courses that are not necessarily specifically related to journalism, but they encompass aspects of journalism, such as world history and English literature, things that aren't newsy, so to speak, but help build your background before you get into news. And as luck would have it, this is very rare, but as luck would have it, I actually landed a job before I finished my degree. That normally does not happen in the news industry. Normally,
no doubt.
Normally it's the other way around, of course. You get your degree first, and you're placed in a different city than your hometown.
Right.
So for someone to be in news, I'm jumping a little ahead of myself, sorry, but for someone to be in news and to be in that industry in their hometown is extremely rare, and I was very lucky to have that opportunity.
I'd say that's awesome. You mentioned you enjoyed writing essays of influence. Was there any particular essay that stuck out to you, and why?
I wrote one that I really loved, one that really resonated with a lot of people, and it was about the importance of having a second language. Because I'm a lover of language, obviously.
Nice.
I love French. I've taken French for 10 plus years, love the language, and I'm also learning Spanish. But I really wanted to demonstrate the importance of what a second language could do for students, what opportunities it could provide. And one interview I did for that essay was with a professor named Dr. Eva Abbas. I'm not sure if she's still there or not, but I just loved her. Like, she was the best. And she said something that I'll never forget. She said, when you learn a second language, you have the ability to make the world your home, make the world more your home. And I never forgot that.
Wow, that's powerful.
No matter where you go, if you have a second language, there's so many more people that you can connect with, so many more opportunities that are available to you. But in small town, small city Alberta, learning a second language isn't on most people's priority lists.
Right.
Because everybody's busy pursuing their other dreams, making money, building a life for themselves. But a second language can really help you go farther in life. And I wanted to demonstrate that with that essay.
Yeah, it's really opening a door to another culture, another way of life.
Yes.
Yeah, so I hear you. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, continuing with that, how did you get into bio writing specifically?
Well, this is kind of a fun story. So I got a little bit ahead of myself, but I used to be a reporter for a local radio station here in town, Big Country, CJXX. I grew up listening to that station, and I learned how to tell a story in 30 seconds or less.
Oh.
Now, in college, writing essays, that's not a 30-second story. That's, an 8-page paper.
Yeah.
When you get into radio, you really need to learn to trim the fat, so to speak, and be as efficient with your language as you can.
Right.
So once I had that job, I really learned how to distill the essence of a person and a concept into a bite-sized story, if you will, for lack of a better word. So that was really my dream job, was to share the stories of other people.
Okay.
And then I left that job to go get married, settle in a new community, and I started freelance writing. From there, I found that freelance writing gave me more words to play with, more fun to have with words. And when I wrote some feature articles, I thought there's got to be a way to monetize this, to share the stories of others and do it in a way where I don't need to necessarily wait for a publication to choose me to write for them.
Right.
I would like to be in control of who I write for and when I do it. Nothing wrong with freelancing. I still freelance to this day, but I really was looking for an opportunity to dive deep into people, who they are, what they're doing, why it was so important to them, and to convey that to them and their customers and their clients in a way that impacted them, that stayed with them.
Yeah, that's powerful, and that kind of leads into the next question as
Okay,
to
great.
why bio writing is so important. You touched on it a little bit. So you mentioned the essence of a person, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm going to quote you. You mentioned your bio is an important reminder of why you matter, and that really resonated with me because we live in a digital world. And to be able to communicate that online or via a screen is so hard with words, but you're so good at it.
Thank you.
And I don't know if you want to speak to that a little bit more, or are you good with what you said before?
No, I definitely have something I want to add to that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's go.
So I tell people this all the time. I say your bio is not just what you do, it's who you are. There's a big difference. Of course, there's overlap between the two because there always is between who you are and what you do. However, who you are is a much bigger piece of the picture than what you do. And people ask me, oh, so you write resumes, right? I say, not exactly. I don't write resumes, I write bios. And when I explain that difference to them, then I see the light of recognition in their eyes. It's so important to revisit your own value because you're right, in the thick of busy life and noisy online spaces, we lose touch with ourselves. We lose touch with what's important to us and what might be important to the people who we're trying to serve. So a bio, whether it's sitting on your desk right where you can see it, I have mine right on my desk, confession time, right? Or on the wall, somewhere you can see it, where you can look at it when you're not feeling so great about yourself or your mission, you maybe feel disconnected or lost from yourself. It's a touchstone you can come back to time and time again and update as necessary.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned Busy McGregor, and I'm not familiar with her.
Okay.
And you had a lot to say there. So
more to say about her than about me, right?
That was kind of a fun one. I was like, oh, she's going to run with this one.
Yeah, for sure. So I met Bissy through a client of mine, and her name is not relevant, but Bissy is the fearless living master. She teaches people, high earning professionals, mostly women, how to supersede fear, how to transcend fear so it doesn't hold you back anymore.
Okay, fear of what? Like
anything. If you're in a professional space, maybe you're afraid of speaking up in a meeting.
Okay.
Maybe you're afraid to ask for a raise.
Okay.
Maybe you're afraid to voice your ideas at a meeting.
Okay.
Fear can come up in a multitude of ways and for a multitude of reasons.
Gotcha.
And a lot of people, myself included, which is ironic given the line of work I'm in, we struggle with feeling with a fear of being seen. Because what will happen if we're seen? What if we're seen in all our glory and we're rejected?
So like a vulnerability.
Yes.
Okay.
So what Bissy does is she creates a safe container for you to explore those fears, meet them with loving compassion wherever you're at, and recognize it for what it is, and again, transcend it.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you don't feel the fear anymore, because that's not realistic. You'll feel fear.
That's what makes us human.
It's part of the human experience,
for sure.
right?
Yep.
But at least when it happens, Bissy gives you tools so you know what to do with it.
Okay.
So it doesn't hold you in a headlock or a death grip anymore.
So I don't want to take money off the table from Busy, but let's role play just a little bit. Let's say I'm deathly afraid of large spiders.
Okay.
So if you were going to give me a strategy to overcome my fear of spiders, you mentioned, meeting that fear kind of head on and transcending. But how does one transcend? Like what is that? There's the gap for me.
Sure. So the first step is separating yourself from your fear.
Okay.
And that sounds so simple, right?
Yep.
But the whole idea is you are not your fear. This fear of spiders is not the whole of who you are.
Right.
It's outside of you.
Oh.
So once you begin to personify it a little bit and separate yourself from it,
Okay.
it becomes easier to manage and to, I won't say control. Control isn't the right word, but manage is the one that's striking true. That's the first step.
Okay.
And second is to recognize fear as it's happening.
Oh.
Okay? So what I believe she would do is she would take you through a bit of a role-playing exercise.
Okay.
Where you would imagine that there's a spider in the room. Okay? What's happening in your body? What's the physical reaction happening? What are some of the thoughts that are happening in your mind?
I'm getting scared already. Just
See? And
thinking about it. Yeah.
but when you have a safe container to look at those fears
Right.
and to see that fear is outside of you causing this reaction,
Yeah.
causing this response in your body, it's easier for you to be mindful of it and to separate from it and to recognize it before it happens and during and sometimes after.
Oh, okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I might try that, but right now I'm just like, yeah, I'm still afraid of spiders.
Right,
But,
and it doesn't happen overnight
Yeah,
either.
no.
There's no quick fix, but there is mindfulness.
Yeah.
And there is awareness of what this thought is doing to my physical body, to my
Right.
emotional body, and to my brain. What's happening with me, and that awareness is what helps you supersede the fear as it happens.
Right. I like that separating. Mm-hmm. So I might have to try that.
That was a huge help to me in growing my business and my brand, because you can let fear stop you in so many ways, but when you let fear silence you, that's the real unfortunate thing.
And that's where my competitive nature would kick in, and I'd be like, I can't let my fear win.
Okay.
So I'd be like, that's how I would approach my fear.
Yeah.
And it's how I've gotten over the fear of a few things, but I'm still afraid of spiders.
It's legit. I don't really like them either, not gonna lie.
So anyway, good times. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I hope that helps.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole separating bit, I could start with that, for sure.
That's the biggest part, is the separation. That's the biggest part, is knowing that you are not your fear. If you leave with anything based on that conversation, leave with that.
Nice. Okay. So moving on.
Sure.
You touched on fear of owning your business, your own business.
Yes.
And that leads into the next question. Can you describe your experience as a new business owner? And could you give people some advice that are on the fence about starting their own business?
Sure. So the biggest piece of advice I can give is probably don't let fear stand in your way. That's a huge one. It's easier said than done, I know. It's a simple piece of advice, but it's by no means easy. And another one is surround yourself with good people, because those good people are going to help propel you and move you forward. Owning your own business is not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of uncertainty with it. I'm not the kind of person who does well with uncertainty, but I'm learning to navigate it. And I'm of the mindset that when you own a business, when you work for yourself, it brings up everything to the surface that you need to work on. Whether that's fear of being seen, whether that's fear of self-expression, that's a big one for people.
Yep.
What if they see me and they don't like me? What if they hear me
Right.
and they don't like me?
Yeah.
Fear of not being enough. It'll bring everything to the surface. But in my mind, the way I see it is, this is being brought to my attention so I can work on it. So I can improve my human experience. Even though sometimes it's painful and
Right.
I'm laughing because it's like pulling teeth sometimes. Do I want to spend an hour fighting with my website? No. Okay, well, ask someone in your circle for help.
Right.
Who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
and have people around you who believe in you and your mission. Because again, they will help uplift you when you are having trouble seeing the value you bring to the table.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was your defining moment? When did you decide? Like, what made you flip to business owner? Because you were employed before.
Yes.
And what made you flip?
So I had a number of full-time jobs to make ends meet, and I was running my business on the side. And the impetus for me was selling my home. I had a rental property and I sold it, and I thought, I can't delay anymore. This is too important for me not to follow this pull, this crazy urge to do something that is completely out of my comfort zone. And I mean completely.
So you saw an opportunity.
Yes, I saw an opportunity, and something happened to me that made me recognize that life is short. Time is finite. It's our most precious resource. And for me, the impetus was the price of regret was going to outweigh the price of stepping outside my comfort zone. That was the true impetus for me, was when I knew that the regret of not doing what I loved would weigh on me heavier than trying and possibly failing.
I totally agree with you. I don't want to look back at my life and realize that I didn't follow some of my dreams, that I didn't try some things, you know, because I think we all have dreams, we all have ideas, but without a plan of action and execution, you'll never realize if you could do that or you couldn't. So our time is very limited on earth, and you have one life.
Yes.
So you might as well do something you love, right?
And even obtaining the courage to begin.
Oh, yeah.
That's the biggest first step, is obtaining the courage to begin.
First steps. Love it. Oh, man, this is good stuff.
This is good stuff.
Okay,
Thank
moving
you.
on. You're welcome. Okay, so I love this question because I love the answer. Who is your biggest inspiration and why?
Oh, I'm going to turn red and embarrass myself here. So Mariah Braun is a huge inspiration for me. She has built her business, bootstrapped her way up, and really just embodied what it means to be a conscious entrepreneur. She gives back to her community. She gives her time freely, generously, and she's so knowledgeable about storytelling and about the different ways you can share a great story and the value that each person's story has. I remember when we were introduced a couple summers, 3 summers ago, I think, 3 or 4 summers ago, and she and I just hit it off, and I've been happy to be a part of her circle ever since. So she's a huge inspiration to me.
That's awesome. Okay, so what brings you the most joy in life right now?
Oh man, right now I love making a good pot of soup. It sounds so simplistic, but it's true. I love working with ingredients. I put on some, if I'm feeling real frisky, I'll put on some Italian music, like some opera music.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's like, you're so hardcore. But it makes the food taste better when I'm fully engaged, when I'm happy with what I'm doing. The food just tastes better, and I've been very much into making these big pots of soup and sharing them with people.
Nice.
Because when you cook for one, there's so much leftovers. You just don't want to eat this soup for a week. Right. So I frequently share my cooking.
So I'm coming over for supper.
Okay.
What are you cooking me?
Well, you let me know what you like, and I'll make it.
Oh, it's like that. Oh,
yeah, that's right.
Okay, you got to surprise me. What are you into?
Oh man, well my go-to when I haven't cooked for a while is spaghetti with meat sauce.
Okay. Oh yeah.
That's my go-to when I'm like, I don't know what to make. I don't feel great, but I know I need to cook something for myself. That's where I begin, is with spaghetti.
As long as the sauce has some heat in it, I'm in.
Okay.
It's got to have some
Red pepper flakes.
Oh,
Got it.
Oh,
Got
there
it.
you go. I like sweating a little bit when I eat. So.
Okay. Well, you're on.
It's all good. It's all good. Oh, yeah. Okay. So moving on. What is your favorite movie?
Oh, my favorite movie. Wild card. Oh, man. The one that came to mind right now, at the risk of sounding silly, is a Disney movie.
Oh.
And it's Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Old school.
yeah.
Okay.
Like 1957, I think that one came out.
Right. They haven't made a real person.
They did make a live action.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one.
But nothing beats the animated original.
That's a classic.
It is a classic.
Yeah.
And I know the history behind the movie too. It took 6 years and $6 million for Disney to fully actualize Sleeping Beauty.
No
because
way.
they were so stretched thin with other projects on the go. They were hard at work on Disneyland, building
the park.
the park,
Okay.
and doing other film projects too.
Oh.
So Sleeping Beauty was very much a labor of love for Disney.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I just love the film. I love the story. I love the characters. All of it. It's my favorite.
I just expected you to say Barbie. I was like,
Oh,
she's going to say Barbie.
No,
She's gonna say Barbie.
no. My first thought was like Sleeping Beauty.
Not Barbie. Okay, that's awesome.
I'm multifaceted. What can I say?
Oh, there you go. Okay, so in closing, last question. Do you have anything else you want our viewers or listeners or anybody else that's interested in you to know about?
Of course. This is something that's very important that I share with everybody, is that in the totality of time and space, there will never, ever be another you. As long as there is time, there will never be another you. So it's important to celebrate and be excited about who you are. Because even if you have an identical twin, you hear it all the time about identical twins. They look the same, but their personalities are like night and day, right?
Yeah.
And genetically they may be the same, but every person on this planet is as unique as a fingerprint. And I love being the person to bring that uniqueness to life. So if you're ready to do that, reach out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I highly recommend working with Christina. It was a lot of fun. You helped me get me down on paper and on a digital profile. You really helped me out. So I want to thank you for that again. And, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for driving in tonight and having a coffee with me. Well, you had tea. I don't know if you had a sip of tea that whole interview.
I take it pretty lukewarm, not gonna lie. I'm used to it sitting on my desk and getting cold. So
yeah.
I will definitely gulp this, but I didn't want to burn myself. Nothing
Okay.
worse than a mouth burn during an interview, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. But thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm happy to promote you and this venture as much as I can.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Well, that wraps it up for tonight, and I can't wait till you see me next time, which I hope will be soon, and I'll catch you later.
Woohoo! We made it.
You did it.
Nobody died.